Hey, welcome to the Crippled Handyman. This is Eddie, and what we're going to talk about today, maybe it'll get some of you out there that are looking to make some extra money on the side. Um, if you want to be a weekend warrior or however you want to do it, depending on where you're at with your job position. But if you don't have a job and you're trying to make some money, um, you can make money actually recycling. So, how do you start a scrap business? It's a cash business, which it should be because you're doing something good for the earth. You're recycling 100%. And, well, what do you need? How do you start it? What are the ins and outs? Well, I'm going to go over these things with you on how to do it. And I'm going to speak from personal experience. Um, I've had some very, when I had done it, I did it for a few years, probably about 3 years. What happened was why I got out. We'll talk about that later. But let's talk about how did I start? How did I get into it? How do I know these things? I know these things from what I did for a living. I was an HVAC contractor. I was a worker contractor, worked for family business, worked for other companies. And I'll give you an example. Say I'm doing a job for a business, right? For a company, family business. All the guys, we come back with all of our copper and we had this huge bin, and we would put all the scrap copper pieces in this bin. We did not scrap in those days, but I do remember there was this black fella. He came out of Robbins. He came to our door and he goes, "Do you have any scrap metal that I can take?" So we would come back, we would bring our furnaces and so forth, and we would actually set it next to our, it was like a 7 yard dumpster. So you would come pick up the air conditioner, the furnace. We never even thought about scrapping this stuff because we were making money um, doing the furnace replacement. You know what I mean? So I guess if I rewind the clock, I probably should have told my father, I was like, "Hey, we're gonna start scrapping this stuff. I'll keep one guy later on at night, and we'll strip this shit down, and we'll separate everything. And at the end of the month, we'll turn it in for cash, and we could give it out to guys as bonuses or whatever. Cash bonuses. Um, but we didn't do that. We gave it to the scrapper because, like I said, we had other things on our plate, bigger things that we were chasing. The bigger dollar. Not really even knowing like I don't even know what scrap prices were. I know copper, I think, may have been in the $2, maybe $3 range. $2. I'm not I actually don't remember. I mean, we're going back to the late '80s, early '90s when we were doing this. And so, what do you need? He's like, all right, Eddie. It's like you talk about this. So, because of my background, we dealt with copper. We got copper coils. Um, I mean, this might be a little bit longer video, but it is what it is. Um, well, what do you need to even start a scrap business? Well, one, you need a truck. You need a truck with a bed, an 8 foot bed. That would be your best bet. Get an old single cab truck with an 8 foot bed, 4 wheel drive truck. You could do it in a two wheel drive truck, but get yourself a dependable truck that you're not afraid to kind of get little scratches on it. And then I would recommend finding just a cheap trailer where you can haul bigger stuff like refrigerators or the air conditioners, furnaces, washers, dryers, stoves, dishwashers, um, bumpers. I mean, anything of that sort. So those are the two main things that to be into a different caliber of making money, having a truck and a trailer. So if you already have a truck, you're in luck. You could get away without a trailer, but you ever see these trucks where they're stacked up like Sanford and Son? I think that was a Sanford and Son tune. But you need a trailer. Doesn't have to be a dump trailer or anything like that. In my time, I bought a dump trailer. I had back issues. I ended up buying a crane, it was a hydraulic pump crane, so I could like pick up so I bought straps and everything, so I could pick up the equipment, swing it onto the trailer, and put it down. I actually had a buddy of mine helping me. Thanks, Max. It was a win-win. So those are the two key components you need to start a business as far as equipment. Um, yes, you're going to need some tools as far as you're going to need a sawzall with metal cutting blades, or you use a side grinder, a drill gun with different drill bits. If you're taking apart equipment, say taking apart motors and so forth off of furnaces, however you're going to break stuff down. Key note, do not take the motor out of a washer or a dryer. That where it looks like it's copper, it's not. It's actually aluminum. So don't waste your time and efforts on removing that motor because it's not a copper motor. So that's just a pro tip, I guess, personal tip, experience tip. Um, Next thing is like, okay, well, that's that side of it. And depending on how big you want this thing to go, you gotta remember, I was healing from major back surgery that failed. And now I'm thinking outside the box. I'm like, well, I can't go to work. I can't get a full work release. Like, what am I going to do? So my wife and I, we decided, she trusted me, and due to the fact on how we got to Colorado, quick story, I did a job. I made $40,000 in 3 weeks scrapping a job. Um, so I had some money. So I kind of know a little bit of what I'm talking about and where the money is. I'm going to direct you on where to go to get the money, on how to be successful. If you want to make an extra $1,000 a month, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, I keep going, 6,000. Like I said, I had months that were $8,000, $9,000. That's crazy. I was scrapping 24,000 pounds of steel 1 month. That's not counting the copper. That's not counting the brass, the electric motors, the aluminum, all the copper aluminum radiators, coils. None of the aluminum coils. Because back in the old days, the old trucks, they actually had copper radiators in the old trucks. And I'm talking, aluminum coils from air conditioners. A lot of air conditioners went to aluminum. Those suck, but they're still worth money. Not as much as the copper, but you got to know how to clean them. So next thing, PR, public relations. Very, very, very important. I went around. I didn't have my big diesel truck yet. There's a story behind that. I went around in my GMC Envoy SUV, the extended version, and I made up flyers. I made up business cards. My business, I called it Green Metals Recycling. Made it all green, real cool. My buddy, old neighbor, helped me make the flyers, made business cards. I'm a scrapper. I'm painting a picture for these people, for what kind of person I am, who they have coming in their building. Am I trustworthy? It's very important to represent yourself in a professional business manner. And because of the fact being a business owner and just the way I grew up, always being a leader, it's just in my personality. It's in my DNA. So it's like, where do I go? Okay, I got a list of places you can go. Be prepared to get yourself set up first before you do this. And I'm going to tell you what I ended up doing and how I did it. And it crosses my mind. I don't have a little crane. I don't have a trailer to invest in a dump trailer. I only have a 1500 series pickup truck. I don't have the brake control on it. It's tempting. Can I make stuff happen up here? I bet I can. I bet I could probably make $2,500 a month if I really put the efforts in it. And what am I putting out? I'm not sure on that side of it. But so public relations, where do you go? You go to apartment complexes. Just walk in there, and all apartment complexes have maintenance workers. They replace, and believe me, these apartment complexes, I would guarantee every single one of them. Let's go 95%. Let's put that. All the apartment complexes I went for here in Colorado, I landed every single account. These guys are trying to find guys that will haul the old stoves, the old refrigerators, all that. This is just dead weight. So just say it doesn't work. And it's just dead weight. Just say, okay, this is my steel weight. If you could do so much steel per month, you're going to make that money per month. So go to apartment complexes. They always have a garage or two garages filled with old non-working equipment, appliances, whatever. I've been to places where it was a pretty cool apartment complex in Denver. I won't say names of any of these, and they had stacks and stacks of window air conditioners that lost all the freon and went to shit. And the amount of coils I pulled out of there, so I pulled out the coils, the motors, so I had electric motors, and I pulled out all the coils and whatever copper I could gather together in buckets. It was insane. I could make a quick $500, $1,000 just from one account. And they call you maybe once a month. And I'm going to get to that. I end up with like 15 to 20 apartment complexes. So now if all these places are calling me once a month, okay, that's a lot of work. That means I'm already busy 15 days up to 20 days just with them, a week or a month. So one day, maybe two of them will call me up, and a lot of times I'd have to do 2 hauls, 3 hauls off these apartment complexes. But go there, talk to a maintenance manager, give a business card, give a flyer. I don't know if I have any flyers that I still have from what I would send out back in the day. I'm actually going to pause the video. I think I know where they're at. I'm going to look in this one bin. I'll be yeah. I'll be right back. Crap! I pressed the wrong button. I didn't get to. I should have pressed the unpause button instead of stop recording. But anyways, I couldn't find. I don't know. I literally just saw them like 2 months ago. Like, I don't know. But this is the printing paper I used. This is what I used. Something cool, something American, something for this country, doing something good for the environment. And what I did was I put my name on there and my name, my phone number, and then basically like all the items that I recycled, whether it was furnaces, air conditioners, electric motors, automotive parts, radiators, furnaces, fridges, dryers, all this. I will list all the things I wanted to recycle. And what I used to love washers, washing machines, and dryers. What I used to love about those, what we would do is like the way we would have it set up on the truck was I could use the washer as like a cavity to put like brake parts in there, rotors and all that shit. Rotors were a great item to throw in there. But kind of make yourself like business orientated when you go doing your PR, public relations, and talk about what you do and, dress nice, look good. Because there's guys going around that, obviously there's people that are like going door to door in the house in your neighborhood, picking up crap and stuff like that. That wasn't me. I took it to the next level because of my experience. And I'm just sharing with what I know, what works, and where to make the most money. So apartment complexes, if you want to start out there, and that's where you get your steel weight for the most part. Start there, and then, like I said, have your flyers set up and all that. Have a business card with your name on there. It could be something, Bobby's Recycling, with your phone number on it. And that way the maintenance guy like, oh, not right now. I don't have anything, but hey, we just lost our guy. And this is what could happen. You'll go somewhere, happen to me, and like, oh, we have somebody. And then It wasn't with the apartment complex. There's certain people I would give them money, and not all of them wanted money. Like, I'm going to go to the next one. Actually, I'm going to skip um, auto repair shops. Your typical car mechanics, auto mechanics, chances of you getting their Cadillac converter are very nil. You're not going to get those, and you gotta know how to buy those. I really didn't learn. I really didn't. Even though it's, some of the research I did, it's really hard unless you really understand what you're buying. I mean, there was one time I think I bought 6 Cadillac converters, gave the guy 150 bucks. I go to the scrapyard and cashed them in, and freaking got 350. Made 200 bucks just for giving him 150, and I got 200 in my pocket. That doesn't happen. There was a one deal. It's like I was ahead like 50 bucks. I'm like, oh my god, like oh these are like the secondhand Cadillac converters. They're not as valuable. Um, with the mineral that's inside those. But uh, yeah, um, the precious metal, I should say. Because I had a slogan. It was something with precious metals, and however I had it set up, it was it was pretty good. But my buddy Max, he helped me get all that kind of stuff set up. So then after your apartment complexes, and say you go to an auto repair shop. Well, some of these guys, what I did, I went out and got 55-gallon steel drums, and I actually painted them. I put Green Mountain Sky Recycling or Green Metals Recycling. Why am I drawing a blank? I'm drawing a blank. Holy cow! I said it earlier. I don't know why my brain just like literally took a shit. Um, so these guys need to be able to throw the rotors in, the struts, like the heavy steel that goes in there. So I ended up going to Home Depot. I invested in these heavy duty casters. The weight of each caster was a limit of 250 pounds. So I got to be able to wheel the barrel out to my truck, and I cut I cut the size of it so I could put hooks in them. So I like makes it if you want to grab the barrel from the sides like a lifting setup, and I had lifting hooks. I have a weight scale. I think I gave that to the Joe that ended up taking my place over. Um, and I would weigh each one, and they could look up what the market. They could actually call, what steel was. So, say there was times like if you called and you're just a regular guy and you might get $150 a ton. I was getting 180. So there. Why? Because I was bringing in. I was doing 24,000 pounds a month, and they gave me a better price because of the fact I gave them a high quality steel, and they loved me. They loved me, and they worked with me, and it was freaking insane. I felt like a superstar. These big body shops, they said it would take them over a month before they filled up their 70-yard dumpster, and then they would go replace it. I'm having them come every 2 weeks replacing a dumpster, and the weight was 4 times as much as the body shop because they're throwing fenders and roofs. Body parts are not that heavy. But so you go to an auto repair shop, okay? A lot of these guys are already locked down with recyclers. Now, a guy like me, I says, I will pay you 1/3 of what I get. So if I'm being legit, I'm like, I get 100, say, let's make it easier. Let's say, okay, I get 150 a ton. I'll pay you $50 per ton. And sometimes, the steel weight at the one place, because I would go, I think every 2 weeks, and I'd get sometimes 1 ton, a little over a ton once in a while. And then I would pay so much for the aluminum rims that they would replace at the place I went to. I would give them so much for the aluminum radiator. It was just there was a variable dollar amount that I would give them, and that money would go to the guys in the shop. They would buy lunch or whatever, but it was an incentive to be successful. You gotta. It takes money to make money, and that's what I learned. And that's how my scrap business became so financially successful. It's too bad the scrap prices weren't where they were years ago when I made that quick 40 in 3 weeks in Illinois. But, it was cash. It was a cash business. Everybody does it. And especially in the HVAC world, everyone's taking that old motors and coils and that. I mean, we're taking out coils out of air handlers that were, sometimes those coils were 300 pounds. I mean, I've taken motors out of equipment where the motor itself weighs 300 pounds. Big, monstrous motors. I'm talking huge air handlers, monster pieces of equipment. Pardon me, feeling parched. But they'll go to auto shops, present yourself in the right manner. If you're willing to offer them some money, they may say, no, we have somebody. Then, kind of give them a list, still give them all your information. Be like, okay, well, if you change your mind, I do offer 1/3 of what I make. And, might have makes the guy think maybe his guy doesn't do that. But not auto shops are like that. There was a guy who was just, I saw an opportunity. Watch these opportunities too. Um, there's a new auto repair shop being built in the one city near me. It was like in between it was like near my scrapyard and my yard that I was leasing. And I said, hey, I give him all my information. He goes, oh yeah, I got 55 gallon barrel drums. I actually had lids with hinges on them. They could shut the lid, keep the lid open. Some places didn't want the lid on it. Some places didn't mind. Like I'm going to talk to some other accounts after this why I had lids. But if it was inside, you could get away without a lid. And I would give them 2 barrels. That way they would have a place to put all the stuff. And I would be able to pick it up with the crane, measure it. He didn't want the money. He said, well, I don't care. If you haul it away, that's all I care about. So once in a while, I would go in, bring them donuts and coffee and whatever. I would do that occasionally, just to appreciate them for their business, not charging me to buy their scrap. Um, so go to auto mechanic shops. If you're in a major city, they're all over the place. And a lot of those guys, they may have a truck and they do it themselves. I had a guy, he did it himself. I convinced him for me to do a load for him. I said, I tell you what, I'll do the load for him. He was actually one of my mechanics. And I said, he saw the dump trailer. I said, I'll haul this. I'll bring the ticket in and I'll give you 1/3. I think that deal, he wanted it to go 50-50. And I'm like, okay, I think this will be a good one. This round should run. I should make about $600 as far as the total, and it's 300 each. And sometimes you just got to do things to try to get your foot in the door. I was hoping he'd be like, yeah, no worries, no worries. And I'm sure the guy. I mean, the guy's an older guy, and um, yeah, I hope he's still around, but I won't mention his name. So auto repair shops, check those out. This one's gonna be cool. I had a few of these accounts. Um, we all have heard of them. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I had one of those. I had a couple O'Reillys, Advanced Auto Parts. I had barrels out in those places, and you could go to Napa. But I had my steel drums outside of these places, and people would come in and bring in their old parts or whatever. And yeah, believe it or not, this one O'Reilly's, man, I both barrels sometimes would be full like weekly, and so I had to go there weekly to get them emptied and free, or the Advanced Auto Parts free. Um, there are places where you get all the scrap for free; you don't have to pay for it. But I thought it was kind of cool. That's because of the fact the way I represented myself. I talked to the store manager as I'm Eddie with Green Metals Recycling. That was the name of it. And, I'm looking to, if I could leave a couple steel barrels out and back, and then your customers, they come with the old parts, they could throw it out there. And yeah, so I started getting some bigger companies. I even went to a Walmart and I was trying to, there was, they're like, oh, they have somebody that does that where the Walmart has the auto repair area. And I went to, and they said no. I'm like, doesn't hurt to be to hear the word no, and if they say yes, that would have been a great account. And there were some huge auto repair shops. I didn't get those. They already had a guy. I actually tried getting in with Brakes Plus because that's all they do is brakes. The weight of those rotors, oh my god, you could probably do $3,000-$4,000 if you're a month easily if you land a Brakes Plus. I did try one of those because I'm like I'll just give them 4 barrels and I'll have to go there like every 3 days, whatever I would have to do, and I couldn't get in there, but you got to try, as part of this whole thing. And how did I actually start getting myself out there a little bit? Besides going door to door, I actually went on Craigslist too. There are things on Craigslist where people are like, "Oh, my washer's broke. Oh, my hot water heater." So I started doing some of that stuff. I would like, okay, I'll come pick it up tomorrow, and then I would actually have a schedule, and I'll be like, okay, I got 10 stops today, and I'm just picking up this a water heater, a fridge, a old dryer, old washer, whatever they had. Um, and then I was doing that in the very beginning, trying to get my name out there and letting people know. Sometimes I was going out further than I should have. Remember that, Max? But it was just about building it, and it can be done. I did it. Um, Max worked cheap. He just worked for food. He wouldn't take my money. But I had a yard guy, and he could bring in whatever to help strip down when I got to that level. Um, this can be a physical job if you just got a regular trailer or truck where you're just throwing it in there. I had a dump trailer, so as my manual crane picked up the stuff, put it on the dump trailer. I had a system how I moved myself around, and it was a low dump trailer. It was I bought it on purpose intentionally because if I learned to take a two-wheel truck and strap it and then like pull with my arms with my body, like with my arms back. I could actually wheel it up to the truck, the one end. It would actually like lay up on it and it would just be like physics. And then Max and I would just push it on and unstrap it and boom, boom, boom. We go to you have to work smart if you have some physical impairments like what I have. So you could go on Craigslist, and a lot of people are always getting rid of stuff. I didn't advertise I would chase it, so you're going back and forth with emails. I'll come tomorrow and get that, blah blah blah. And this is what I do, yada yada yada. And then, like I said, I was doing that for maybe a month or two, and then I got, let's say, an apartment complex, and then I started getting like the wheels started rolling in motion. So this isn't going to happen just right overnight and thinking that this is going to happen. This is going to be sometime, and this is not a 9 to 5 deal. You're out at 7 in the morning, and I was like, when things were happening and going, it would be like 8 till 11. I was only doing like 3 hours a day. That's it. 15 hours a week. That's all I was doing, making that money. In the end, because I didn't have to. It was already there. I built myself up to that point. I went out. I had 55-gallon barrels all over the place. I want to say I had, I think, 40 of them out there, and they went fast. And they were hard to find. You got to go with the steel ones, heavy duty. I think I had some heavy poly type barrels, and then go to a plumbing supply house. Talk to the manager there. Let them know what you do, and maybe that supply house. That's how I did it. Supply house. The plumbers would, these guys worked out of their home. They didn't have a shop. A lot of these companies, HVAC companies and plumbing companies, they don't have nowhere to put their stuff. So I don't think they make more money doing plumbing work versus going to the scrapyard and taking the water heater there. So I would always take off the bottom brass drain valve. It's brass, and I would take off the overflow. That's brass. So you cut the end off the way you do it. You get any steel out of there. Pure brass. Number one, clean brass. The next thing is I'm gonna have to pause this again. Dogs. I'll go maybe a little bit longer. Once if the dogs start getting crazy, my wife just got home. HVAC companies. I landed a couple of those guys. Those guys, they're major replacement companies, and believe it or not, they will take certain things like extra rolled copper and stuff like that. But like the old equipment, they'd like, here, come get it. And he would have like rooftop units that has to be removed, and we would coordinate when the crane guy was there. I would pull in, and the crane guy would just drop the equipment right on my trailer. And yeah, I remember pulling up at I had another buddy, and it's, like when I talk about PR, do you know anyone with a trailer, a flat trailer? I knew a couple different people that had some flatbed trailers, big time trailers. So like before I got big, I almost forgot about this. I was making a deal with maybe renting this one guy's piece of land, and he wanted 50-50. I mean, he came out and he hauled all these rooftop units, dropped them on his property, and I dismantled them, stripped them down, and then I hauled everything out. Got all the money, and I gave him half the money. That was a pretty good one. I think we had like 7 rooftop units. They're big units, and I met another guy, trying to help him. Things fell between us because he didn't. I don't know, he was having marital problems, and then things happened bad, which was horrible. What happened to him? So I was always like finding people like if like here at my property, I could all day strip down rooftop units on my property all day long. No one could, I'm in the county. I have a piece of my land. I could just totally gate off and and leave it for recycling. It's crossed my mind, but it can be physical if you have back issues like me. I had people that helped me, but doing your PR is so important. Finding people with equipment that's bigger than yours. My trailer was it was it was 7 foot wide and long. I think it was 112 feet long. It was like 7 by 12 or whatever. And I was actually on the work, so I'm getting a second one. That's how things were just going so dang good. And I was actually gonna leave that trailer um, for the guys who just loaded up with all the barrels with all the electric motors. I'm like, okay, once that's filled, that's a $2,000, $3,000 payday. Um, I always had money rolling. I got it to a point where it was consistent. I had money coming in every freaking like 2 days, 3 days. It was constant. I had to pay people, and it was working out really well. Um, Go to like I said, HVAC supply houses. Like I said, I've talked about plumbing supply houses. Those are a little bit tougher, not hard, not impossible. The HVAC supply house that took me 6 months to get that one because the rep had to come in from out of state and see my proposal. I mean, I wrote up a proposal and what I would pay for them for each coil. I'd have to pay for steel, so no furnaces or water heaters, but and whatever other scrap steel was out there, even metal pipe, steel gas pipe, whatever. I just had to pay for like rooftop units because they had coils, air conditioners, and the AC coils. That's it. Now, if it was aluminum, I gave them nothing. If it was an aluminum air conditioner, I gave them nothing. But it had to have a copper aluminum coil. That's the only way they got money out of me. But yeah, this is how it is. Start a scrap business. What you need. It's a pure cash business, and get yourself right. Because I remember I was down still. I wasn't out there yet because I didn't start knocking on doors yet. So I was already getting things lined up, having 55-gallon barrel drums, and having to spray paint those. And I think I did those when we had the townhome. We had a 2-car garage, so I was able to do all that work and get them ready, get the wheels on, and do all that. So I had an area where I could put a dozen drums at a time, and then I was slowly start. If people gave me the green light, I was like, okay, I'll bring 2 drums the next day or two. So it worked out really, really well. I had a system, and it just after the motor was running, it was a fine running motor. And the guy I sold the business to, because the back I couldn't do it no more. And I did it for 3 years, I believe. And it was a real shame because it was a cash flowing business. And I'm going to call it a business because it was run like a business. I was very professional dealing with people. Money was exchanged. It was cash. And the guy that took over, he was doing in the summer months, he was doing like 40,000 of steel weight a month. 40,000. He ended up getting an additional 70 yarder. He was almost doing a 70 yarder a week. It was almost coming down to that. So it was average like 3 to 4 70 yarders a week. And we haven't spoken in quite a while. He had some health issues. And so I don't know if he's still running it. But it was a well-oiled machine. And I sold it to him. It was a cash buyout. It was just a handwritten contract. I'm like, dude, do you realize what I went through to build what I built? And if you want to start a scrap business, this is what you need to do. This is the steps I took. Look professional. If you're missing teeth and you're like doing drugs and all that stuff, you're not going to be this successful. You're not going to make it like this. They're not going to want you in the building. Because I'm walking through the buildings and where the mechanics are. I'm bullshitting. I'm going getting my, at the one auto shop, they had 7 mechanics. And one job, I don't even know where I got it. I can't remember. Maybe I saw it on Craigslist, but it was a huge freezer chest. One of those big ones. I ripped off the lid and I put those heavy duty wheels on it. And that's where they put all this stuff. And I could let them go. I could actually let that one go sometimes 2 weeks because it was such a huge deal. But that sucker was heavy. My scale maxed out at 1,000 pounds. And there was a time 2 guys had to push it out to my truck. I'm giving them money. So I was like, help. I can't do that. It's way too heavy. If it was like 400 or 500 pounds, I could push it. But I think I had a load that was like 900 pounds. That was almost maxed out. 9 something. And I'm like, holy shit. I think I ended up getting like 20 aluminum rims because they were replacing rims and tires of every car that the guy had he sold cars and he had an awesome mechanic shop. He had both sides of it. So every car he would buy, whenever they would come in, he would get all the brakes redone and all that. So I had 2 locations of this guy. And it was stupid money. I wouldn't get the Cadillac converters. They had another guy that did that, which is fine. That's respectable. But guys, gals, if you want to try to make some extra, if you want to start a scrap business, these are the steps that I took. I know it's such a long video. If you stayed here to the end, I hope you'll be successful in this new adventure. It's crossed my mind out here, but I'm out in the mountains. If you're in a major city, if you have a population of 50,000 or 100 and above, you can make this happen. And hopefully you have a scrapyard somewhat near you. My scrapyard, it was like, I think 35 minutes, 40 minutes from the scrapyard. And I would always time it what time of day. I would try to go at like 10 a.m. To avoid any traffic or anything, getting on the main highways, I-70 and all that bullshit. But yeah, you could make a very nice dollar. Even if you're out of work and you don't know what to do right now, and if you're collecting unemployment, or if you're on Social Security or disability, depending on what your disability is, I guess. I had to get very creative, and I had to pay people because it wouldn't have been to the success without, the people I had, helping me physically. Because without that physicality, that's why I can't see it happening out here, because I can't do it by myself. I would probably end up back in a wheelchair, or screw something up and, like I said, in better worse than where I am. But it's crossed my mind, but I'm in the mountains and it's just not where I'm at. It won't work unless you had a bigger trailer, and you have to be smart about it. And then when you go in for cash day, you're bringing full barrels of copper. I mean, I'm literally bringing in 55-gallon drums filled with copper, not 5-gallon buckets, 55-gallon drums filled with copper. Yeah, and that shit gets heavy. So that's that's the story of that part of it. And this is how you could have a successful scrap business. So good luck to all you. If you have any questions, reach out, leave a comment in the comment. Let me know if if you are a scrapper, you do any scrapping, and let me know what's your biggest haul, what's your best haul. Um, I've done one of my fastest hauls was did a science lab and all the in the where they have all the gas and all that stuff. That's all brass. That's not chrome. That's brass. And being a kid, we stripped all that stuff down in a matter of, I think we did it in 2 hours, if that. And I took all the anything that had metal on it, I took all that off. It was all brass. I think it was like $1,200, and I think I had 5 hours involved. And yeah, $600 to him, $600 to me, $300 an hour, making bank. But there's things what you know, what you don't know, what to scrap, what don't you know. There's a lot into it. If you have any questions, yeah, just reach out and be more than happy to help. Thanks for watching this long video. I know it's super duper long, and we'll see you on the next one, guys.